Kia ora koutou and welcome to Frogs on Friday. I'm Shannon Barlow, Managing Director for Frog Recruitment. And today, as always, we're talking about all things job market related. In particular, it's about location. We will be talking about the net migration loss in mahi media. As always, we'll go through some of our hot jobs. And today I'm joined by Peter Crestani, our MD for our Wellington office, talking about answering the question if location really matters when applying for a job. And as always, we'll go through the results of our poll from last week and line up another for this week. So let's go through to mahi media. Okay, so this week we saw that migration fell further into the negatives as New Zealand lost 7,000 people. Now, this is no big surprise with things like COVID-19 travel and border restrictions. And we did see a negative net migration for the first time, though, since 2013. And the migrant arrivals dropped to levels that we haven't seen since the mid-1980s. I guess a little bit of positive spin there is that there is still a net migration gain for New Zealand citizens, and this data goes up to March of this year. But I think now that the borders are opening further and it's much easier to travel, expect to see a loss in the June quarter when those results come through. And already we're seeing a net migration loss for young Kiwis, so those in the 18 to 27 year old bracket. And, you know, we've talked about this previously with it's to be expected with close to 2.5 years. Our younger Kiwis have been waiting to go off on the big OE. So as soon as those borders open, they could book their tickets. We're starting to see that movement. Now, some other big news this week. We saw the government has announced their new migration settings. And included within those is the so-called green list of highly skilled jobs that enable a fast-tracked pathway to residence. Now, it has copped a bit of criticism of being a so-called two-tiered system, and particularly where female-dominated professions, including nursing, midwifery, and teaching, have been left off that green list, despite the obvious severe skill shortages in some of those areas. So be interesting to see how this plays out and some pressure on the government there. Now let's go through to our hot jobs section. Okay, so first up, it's actually a role that I am working on. So it's an office manager position. It's based in East Tamaki and paying around that $40 to $45 per hour mark. So the business is a global company working within the health product sector. And they're looking for someone while they recruit for a permanent position. So there may be opportunity to put your hand up for the permanent role as well if it's something that you enjoy. So it's a mix of office management and some EA duties as well. So some of the key things that they're looking for is someone who has that experience in managing the office functions within a large organization and is used to being able to juggle those demands of different areas within the business, as well as supporting the COO. You'll also be providing administrative support for a lead sales team. Okay, let's go to the next one there. Peter, I'll let you jump in on this one here in Wellington.
Thank you, Shannon. So this role it's a fixed term role, and we're looking for someone that can work across multiple streams. It's based in a major government agency, and we're looking for someone who has great knowledge of the Maori space, and someone that can work with a really high performing manager. The person is someone, the manager is someone that we've worked with quite extensively, and she builds a really good work culture. So you need to be able to have worked in the government sector. If you haven't worked in the government sector, it's going to be a hard ask. And they will be looking for something like PMI or some formal qualification around program management. So if you're interested, contact Chitra.
Excellent. And the last one here is a project coordinator, again, a mix of PA duties in this one, based in Riverhead, and paying up to $40 per hour, plus the holiday pay as well. So this is working, supporting a construction manager and commercial manager. So they're looking ideally for someone who has experience working in the construction space, and has held a similar role where, again, multiple projects on the go, needing to keep all those balls up in the air and to provide that high level of administrative support to keep the project ticking along. For this one, if you can, looks like you can call me. Call through to me or anyone within the, or Shavnil within the Auckland team as well. All right, and I think we have a video for one of our other Auckland positions, a permanent role.
Hi, I'm Simi. I'm a recruitment consultant here at Frog Recruitment. We are working with an Australian and New Zealand-based smart utility services company looking for an accounts payable, receivable officer position responsible for leading the end-to-end accounts payable processes in the office here in New Zealand, which is located in central Auckland. This is a very exciting time to be part of a very supportive New Zealand finance team who are looking at expanding their services to the client in both the countries. This role will lead and manage the delivery of daily transactional accounting functions such as account payable, receivable, and purchasing to both internal and external stakeholders. You will be working collaboratively with customers, suppliers, and the service partners to deliver smooth financial performance and continuous improvement. If you are interested in learning more about this role, please contact me anytime on 093620789, or you can send me an email to simi@frogrecruitment.co.nz. Thank you.
Okay, Peter, so ready to answer all our questions on whether or not location matters when it comes to jobs?
Well, I'm not quite sure if I can answer all your questions, but I've got a few things to think about. So does location matter when you're applying for a job? So the answer to that is there's no simple answer, but it depends. So it depends on the company you're applying for. Do they want you to work from home? Are they comfortable with you being out of town? Is it a role where you're in Auckland and the role's in Wellington? That also makes a difference. Depends on the sector. Like we've got some clients that have fully distributed teams throughout the country. I don't think they ever really seem to get together physically at any stage, where we've got other clients that are fully in the office all the time. So when you're applying for a job, I think you've got to really look at the things to think about and spell them out really early on. Make sure that you put it in your application So say, for instance, if you're in Auckland and the role's in Christchurch, and they want you to be in Christchurch, that you say that you're willing to relocate. If the role, you only want to work remotely and fully remote, then put that in your application as well. And we also have some clients where they have a mix of both of those. So they have an anchor day or a couple of days a week where they want everyone in the office. And in Wellington, for instance, we often have people that live in the Wairarapa and the offices are in Wellington. So often the client will want you to be there in the office on, say, a Tuesday and a Wednesday, for instance, and they're happy for you to work from home. But if you've got any requirements, put that in your application. So if you've say you like to work on a Friday because you've got a daughter that has some activity on in the afternoon or whatever, put that in there. It's always good too to make sure that you put in that you're negotiable around if something comes up and you know in advance, then you'd work on that Friday when you normally wouldn't. So again, going back to it really depends. And if you're willing to relocate, say you're in Auckland, the job's in Christchurch, let them know. You can always ask about relocation costs, and some organisations do have those sort of policies. So well worth asking about that. That's probably a little bit further down the track. Sometimes we have people that live in Auckland, the role's in Wellington, and the client wants the person to be in the office, say a week a month or half a week a month. If you're willing to do that, that's great, but also think about, are you willing to pay for that as the candidate or the potential employee, or will the client, actually, the hiring organisation, actually pay for that? So think about those sort of parameters before you go into it. We've had some occasions now because of COVID coming in, a lot more flexibility around working, especially in the knowledge space. And we've had some instances where people have had parameters around working from home or different location, or the role might be in Wellington, but the company has an office in Auckland, so you can actually work in the Auckland office. And we've had people that have gone through the process, and then right at the end they go, oh, actually, I'm in Auckland and I really only want to work in Auckland, or I only want to work 100% remote. And it comes out right at the end, and we as the recruiters and the hiring organisation gets blindsided by that, and you go, really wish we'd known that, because it puts a different parameter on the whole thing. So going back to the first thing, it really depends. But be honest, don't spring surprises, put it out there. A lot more flexibility now, especially in the knowledge space around working. But if you can be flexible about it as well, that's always keen.
Yeah, it's great to see there are a lot more options there, but it's a good point in making it really clear in your application. I know as a recruiter, when you're looking through, you can get excited and go, oh, this looks great, but hang on, how's this going to work if they're in a completely different city? So actually pointing your situation out and what those parameters are is really helpful in helping recruiters make those decisions, and also forgetting what you're looking for as well and being really clear on that. Excellent. Okay, so let's move on. Let's see what the results were from our poll from last week. Okay, so we asked, how would you describe your job search in 2022? Okay, a bit of a mixed bag here, but the key result there is a big 41% said, no, I'm not actually looking in 2022. The next one there, I'm looking, but I'm looking, and it's because I'm burnt out. Yeah, I guess some mixed results there. I'm sure if we did this at the start of the year, we would have seen a lot more movement and people were looking at those other opportunities. But I think that's starting to settle a bit now, and for people to look for that stability of and security of the job that they're in. Okay, let's see what we're asking this week. Is your company planning to recruit more staff this year? So I guess last week we looked from the candidate perspective. So let's see what the business plans are as well. So are they planning to grow, only looking to replace, or are they actually going the other way through and reducing numbers? So we'll watch out for those results next week. That is it for today. We'll be back as always 12:30 on Friday next week. Love to see you there, and as well to make sure to put through any comments or talk about your experience related to how location has affected your job search or your work. Okay, love to see you next week. Ka kite anō.